Hello, everybody. Let me add our. Hello, Miss Amy.
Okay.
Oh, my Lord. It's a day.
It's a day.
The day we've been waiting for. So we're going to get right into it. There's been a lot of stuff happening today. And yeah. So let me go over to maybe sharing our screen. Maybe. We might.
You might have just a few tabs open right now, huh?
Yeah, I tried to close, at least 100 first, but here we go. And let's go from here. Wow, lots of stuff, lots of stuff. So we knew we had some things going on with just Rich Allen in the case because we saw motion of to change the venue and all that good stuff. And then we knew about the release of probable cause, which we suspected would be here. Oh, I need to fix this before we go further. That's in the way. So we did learn that there is a copy released, redacted, um, about the probable cause affidavit, and that is just absolutely freaking huge. Amy, do you want to kind of read? I'm going to have to switch this little thing here. The update that we've got.
Okay.
We had some from
Sure.
Andrew, which I'll show one, and she'll talk about the other for us.
Which one are you going to? Which one did you want me to read?
I am going to go to the slide of the new. Let me show this one, but you show the updated you have from the actual news station first.
Me first? Okay. This is from wishtv.com. It says, according to the probable cause affidavit, investigators believe evidence and witness testimony shows that Allen was the suspect on the video recorded on German's cell phone before the murders. Detective redacted, along with other investigators, believe the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male subject seen on the video from victim 2's phone who forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where they were murdered. Investigators believe that after German and Williams were murdered, Allen returned to his vehicle on Country Road 300 North. Allen's vehicle, a 2016 Ford Focus, was similar to descriptions of subject or suspect vehicles provided by witnesses. According to court papers, a witness saw Allen with clothes that were muddy and bloody. The clothing Allen said he had on that day was similar to the dark-colored clothing witnesses said the suspect was wearing. Investigators say an unspent .40 caliber round was found between the bodies of the girls and that the unspent round came from a gun owned by Allen. An unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and 2 was forensically identified to have been cycled through Richard Allen's, I'm not sure the pronunciation, but 6-hour model P226. Court documents read, the 6-hour model P226 or P226 was found at Allen's home, court papers say, and he admitted to owning it. Investigators say Allen had owned the gun since 2001. During a police interview, Allen said that he had not been on the property where the unspent round was found, that he did not know the property owner, and that he had no explanation as to why a round cycled through his firearm would be at that location. Allen also told investigators he never let anyone use or borrow the 6-hour model P226. The probable cause affidavit does not say how German and Williams died, only that their deaths were ruled homicides and their clothes were found in a creek south of where their bodies were located. Allen's attorneys have said he did not commit the murders, and that's from Wish TV.
So let's first of all, look at, and we'll pull up. We've got tons of crap to pull up, so nobody panic on that. Let's just talk about what was read from that, right? I mean, holy crap. So we learned a lot of stuff just from that.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to, I mean, I'm a little in shock. So let me try to get over that first.
I think
so
it's
we're looking at, I mean, so the first things I'm looking at that stand out. So he did drive there,
yes.
and he parked his vehicle, and it was on Country Road 300.
Mm-hmm.
He was driving a Ford Focus, correct?
It's the 2016. The way I understand it, yeah, the 2016 Ford Focus, yeah.
Okay, and
says
that's the vehicle they took.
Yeah, similar to descriptions of suspect vehicles provided by witnesses. So it was something that had been seen, a vehicle that had been seen there that day by witnesses.
Okay, so witnesses saw that, and then you went into a witness saw somebody with bloody and muddy clothes.
Yeah, and that was a quote. It says, according to court papers, a witness saw Allen, quote, with clothes that were muddy and bloody, end quote. So that's something that's new. We didn't know.
No, not that a witness would have seen all that. I mean, there's a lot more eyewitnesses that saw a lot more stuff than we realized. So they see the person, they see his clothing, their witnesses saw the vehicle that was described, similar to the vehicle described. They see him muddy and bloody. And then we go into the bullet from a .40 caliber weapon. Wow.
I don't know much about weapons in terms of like ballistics and forensic evidence, but it sounds like they were able to match that round up with the gun that he owned.
Right.
And they have that weapon. They found it in his home.
Yeah. I mean, the .40 caliber is freaking amazing. I mean, that is just absolutely blowing my mind. And then, so they ask him about the bullet. He says already he did not loan the gun to anybody, right? So he already said that. Nobody had the gun. He never gave it out. He said he didn't know the person on the property. So he doesn't know Logan, according to him.
Mm-hmm.
He
has no explanation as to why a round that had cycled through his firearm would be at the murder scene.
Yeah.
I can't think of why that really definitively in my mind, it would put him there. I mean, if he says nobody had access to the gun, he never loaned it out, nobody ever used it. He's owned it since 2001, the paper said.
And that would correspond to the permit to have a gun.
Right.
So, wow. I mean, okay, so right now we have on the screen. Oh, I see something that I need to look in Discord. Paige, can you tell me what category? Is it under Delphi? So the other thing that's right now currently on the screen, this was just from the Angela Ganote, and people were trying to read this fast.
She has the document.
Yep. 8 pages. So this detective talks about the details, talks about the 40 caliber also she brings up. She talks about Richard Allen interview with police 2017. Allen admitted he was on the trail between 13:30, so that's military time. So between 1:30 and 3:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. Said he didn't see anyone and was watching a stock ticker on his phone. What a bunch of shit. Sorry. I'm just it's shocking and upsetting as we go through this stuff. I mean, it just really is. So we're talking 1:30. He's saying he's there from 1:30 to 3:30. Are you kidding me? This is from page 4. Lab determines the unspent round located within 2 feet of the victim's body had cycled through Allen's gun. Then it says Richard Allen, peace, probable cause, October 13, 2022, spoke to investigators again in 2022, this year. He told that he owns a firearm. Police interviewed his wife, and she stated Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. Oh, shit.
Carhartt? What? Wait, oh, what?
Yes. Still owns a blue Carhartt jacket.
Wow, that was just exactly like you had said this morning. Remember?
Yes.
You know, that was a pretty generic blue jacket that
Yes.
businesses could put their logo on. That type of windbreaker. Mm-hmm.
Police found boots, knives, firearms, including a 6-40 caliber pistol. So the knives and stuff like that, that doesn't seem like there's any evidence of that, but they're saying that they found him. Richard Allen had no explanation of why the bullet was found between Libby and Abby. Told police no one borrowed the gun, and police believe Richard Allen is the man seen on the video from the phone. Okay, I'm going to go out of here because one of our justice warriors over here, let me see if I've got that open. I may not have Discord open, but that's okay. I can get it.
Good job, Paige.
Why, yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Paige. Let's see where is it at? Is it in general?
It's in Delphi. Oh, wait, no, maybe it is in general. I'm sorry. I have it open.
All right. I'm going to go to general.
Nope, she put it. I'm sorry. I was right to begin with. It's in Delphi.
Oh, let me go back to Delphi.
Wow. There is a lot here. Honestly, I'm not seeing much redacted. Do we have the right document? Because I'm not seeing redactions. Oh, they're whiteouts. I'm so used to looking at the black boxes, but it's just when it's redacted, it's been.
I'm not seeing it in Discord. Is it? Maybe I have to refresh.
It's 8 pages.
Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to. It's thinking about giving me something. It may have not refreshed earlier because I was in StreamYard, so.
Do you need me to share my screen?
Yeah, I probably do. That's quicker. Let me get out of here and go to StreamYard, and yes. I need to unshare mine, don't I?
I'm not sure. So I guess it's the present button, share screen. It's my first time doing this, so
yeah.
Do present,
share screen. It should show a thing at the top.
Okay.
And then it'll say you click for non-interruption, and then you do that drop-down box to show what screen you're going to show.
Okay, I have it.
That way we're going to look at all 8 pages, everybody. All 8 shocking pages.
Is it working?
Oh, let me see. Let me go to... Is that it?
Maybe I'm doing something. I'm so sorry if I'm doing it wrong. Okay. Let me see if I can make that any bigger. Okay. Do you want to read it or?
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do to make it as big as I can? I'm going to take our faces off the screen and just show it.
Yeah.
And that way we can all see that really well. Okay. All right. You may be able to read it better because you've got the full document in front of you.
Okay. Just tell me.
Yeah, just go straight to where we start in some details.
Okay.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. I, the undersigned affiant, submit the following information pursuant to IC 353372 as a sworn affidavit setting forth the facts and circumstances known to law enforcement of Carroll County as the basis for probable cause to arrest without a warrant or to establish probable cause for issuance of an arrest warrant for the above-named defendant. That the facts and circumstances described below would be sufficient basis for a person of reasonable caution and prudence to believe that the accused has committed or attempted to commit the offense or offenses described, and that if arrested without warrant, such would be authorized under IC 35331-1. That the hearsay statements of witnesses contained herein are considered reliable and credible due to the witness's personal knowledge and or are corroborated by the totality of the circumstances. That on February 14th, 2017, Victim 1 and Victim 2 were found deceased in the woods approximately 0.2 miles northeast of the Monon High Bridge in Carroll County. Their bodies were located on the north side of Deer Creek. At the time, the Monon High Bridge Trail was approximately 1 mile gravel trail terminating at the Monon High Bridge. The Monon High Bridge is an abandoned railroad trestle approximately a quarter of a mile long, spanning the Deer Creek and Deer Creek Valley on the southeast end of the trail. Approximately 0.7 miles northwest on the trail from the northwestern edge of the Monon High Bridge is the Freedom Bridge, which is a pedestrian bridge spanning State Road 25. Approximately 350 feet west of Freedom Bridge was a former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25, also known as County Road 300 North. The trail terminates just west of the former railroad overpass. The majority of the trail is in a wooded area with a steep embankment on the south side of the trail. The entirety of the trail and the location of the girls' bodies were and are located in Carroll County, Indiana. Through interviews, reviews of electronic records, and review of video at the Hoosier Harvest Store, investigators believe Victim 1 and Victim 2 were dropped off across from Mears Farm at 1:49 p.m. on February 13, 2017 by Redacted. The Mears Farm is located on the north side of County Road 300 North near an entrance to the trails. A video from Victim 2's phone shows that at 2:13 p.m., Victim 1 and Victim 2 encountered a male subject on the southeast portion of the Monon High Bridge. The male ordered the girls' guys down the hill. No witnesses saw them after this time. No outgoing communications were found on Victim 2's phone after this time. Their bodies were discovered on February 14, 2017. The video recovered from Victim 2's phone shows Victim 1 walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the male subject approaches Victim 1 and Victim 2, one of the victims... mentions, quote, gun.
Yep, remember that.
Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard. I don't know if I can do this.
I know. Let me see.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I know. Let's see. Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard telling the girls, "Guys, down the hill." The girls then begin to proceed down the hill, and the video ends. A still photograph taken from the video and the "Guys down the hill" audio was, I can't see past that part.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I hear you. I was going to cry when you sat there and said the other thing. Let's see. Audio was, there it goes. Subsequently released to the public to assist investigators in identifying the male. Victim 1 and Victim 2's death were ruled as homicide. Clothes were found in Deer Creek belonging to Victim 1 and Victim 2, south of where their bodies were located. There was also a .40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet away from, it's kind of,
it would be Victim 1
and Victim 2
two's
bodies.
bodies. Yeah. I'm gonna have to get the next shot pulled up on my computer.
Go ahead. We're all
So
here.
that's gonna show the
So-
Discord. Do you want me to show the Discord?
You don't have to. You can unshare and then pop back in.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Okay. So I'll just say that right now, so we know that they're in the probable cause affidavit, they are classifying Libby as Victim 2, Abby as Victim number 1, dropped off at 1:49 p.m. near Mears Farm. That's just confirming everything we know. That in the video, they actually hear the word gun said by one of the girls. I believe that they said that was Abby who said that. And they did say that they found clothes from both of the victims in the water. So that's at least what stuff I'm, as we read through this, we pick up what information. So we're fixing to pull up the next pages here to go through. And Amy, I appreciate you reading it. I know it's hard because just saying Victim 1 and Victim 2 is so cold compared to we know them as Abby and Libby. So
right,
that's a little difficult for us all to do, but
I hope I get this kind of in order. Let's see. I'll go ahead and share again.
So I'm just looking at the message or in the chat here, see if I'm missing anything. Yes, Samantha, I will be happy when everybody is convicted in this case too, and that it's done. I think we've got a long way to go.
Okay, I think I have.
It ready?
Can you see where it says steep embankment?
Let's see. Pop up. I see where it says bridge. There's a little bit cut off above it. I see where bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket. Do you want to read what's above it?
I'm sorry. Okay.
Nope, you want to read up what's above it, and then I'll just start there.
I have to. They open up on new tabs, and so each time I need to share the proper tab. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So I'm trying to sort that out. Just give me a sec.
Yeah, I didn't see. Is it a PDF or is it separate images?
These are separate. It's not a PDF. It's each individual screenshot. Hang on. Okay, I'm about to get it.
I think just from the earlier just talking that the shocking thing for me um, in there was hearing about a witness who saw him muddy and bloody.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
Well, I have to say kudos to the witnesses that were there that day for not speaking all this time,
Yep.
because we haven't heard that at all. And
And some of these are young witnesses.
yeah.
And, God forbid, how scared that those witnesses have had to been over the past 5.5 years.
Hmm. Okay, I'm sharing, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So those poor girls, poor kids.
Well, maybe.
Skate girl, it may be that there could be fingerprints on it or something about the bullets. We don't know. We're going to go through this full thing and we can see what.
It may be some kind of marking on a bullet that, since they said it, they described the bullet, it was an unspent bullet that had cycled through his gun. So I don't know if there's some kind of marking that once it's in chamber in the weapon, there are some kind of marks that forensic analysis can match up. I have a feeling
I,
there's probably some real techie stuff there that
or
matched
God,
that.
it could be as simple as a fingerprint.
It could
He
be.
doesn't
Yeah.
he doesn't have a criminal history, so they wouldn't have his fingerprints on file.
Hmm.
Um, all right, you want to do this one then? It was a little smaller for me, so
Oh, yeah. If I try to make it bigger, it's going to go off the screen.
that's okay. That's
Okay.
all right.
It says something about a steep embankment on the south side of the trail, the entirety of the trail, and the location of the girls' bodies. I feel like I've already read this.
That's okay.
Let me keep going.
It was through interviews, right?
Yeah, interview. Okay. Jeez. So you read the part about where it says there was also a 40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet away from victim two's body, between victim one and victim two's bodies. The round was unspent and had extraction marks on it. Interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles, so and so and so and so. They advised that they were on the Monon High Bridge Trail on February 13th, 2017. They advised they were walking on the trail toward Freedom Bridge to go home when they encountered a male walking from Freedom Bridge toward the Monon High Bridge. Redacted described the male as quote unquote kind of creepy and advised he was wearing quote unquote like blue jeans, a like really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She advised the jacket was a duck canvas type jacket. Redacted advised she said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She
Huh.
recalled him being in all black and had something covering his mouth. She described him as, quote, not very tall, end quote, with a bigger build. She said he was not bigger than 5'10". Redacted advised he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She stated he had his hands in his pockets. Redacted showed investigators photographs she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. I need to find page 3 now. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just figured out how to make my screen a little bigger while I'm doing that, but I got to get back out of it. So,
Okay.
obviously, the probable cause affidavit is the big thing that we've got covered here. There was a request for change of venue. And also, we had some information about Indiana state law and whether bail would be allowed or not allowed. So we'll go over that as well.
Okay, let me share this one. Five 540. Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and start reading. The photographs included a photo of the Monon High Bridge taken at 12:43 p.m. and another one taken at 1:26 p.m. of the bench east of the Freedom Bridge. Redacted advised after she took the photo of the bench, they started walking back toward Freedom Bridge. She advised that was when they encountered the man who matched the description of the photograph taken from victim two's video. Redacted described the man she encountered on the trail as wearing a blue or black windbreaker jacket. She advised the jacket had a collar and he had his hood up from the clothing underneath his jacket. She advised he was wearing baggy jeans and was taller than her. She advised her head came up to approximately his shoulder. She advised Redacted said hi to the man and that he said nothing back. She stated he was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. She stated he had his hands in his pockets and kept his head down. She advised she did not get a good look at his face, but believed him to be a white male. The girls advised after encountering the male, they continued their walk across Freedom Bridge and the old railroad bridge over Old State Road 25. Investigators spoke with Redacted, who advised she was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. Video from the Hoosier Harvest Store captured Redacted vehicle traveling eastbound at 1:46 p.m. toward the entrance across from the Mears farm. Redacted advised she saw four juvenile females walking on the bridge over Old State Road 25 as she was driving underneath on her way to park. Redacted advised there were no other cars parked across from the Mears farm when she parked. She advised she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from victim two's video. She
No,
described, I'm sorry.
I'm just, that's about one of the witnesses we thought we heard of. So I'm just writing that down.
I think we know who it is. Advised there was no other cars parked across from the Mears farm when she parked. She advised she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from victim two's video. She described the male she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans and a blue jean jacket. She advised he was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge approximately 50 feet from her. She advised she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She advised approximately halfway between the bridge and the parking area across from the Mears farm, she passed two girls walking toward Monon High Bridge. She advised she believed the girls were victim one and victim two.
Oh my gosh.
Video from the Hoosier Harvest Store shows at 1:49 p.m. a white car matching Redacted vehicle traveling away from entrance across from the Mears farm. Redacted advised she finished her walk and saw no other adults other than the male on the bridge. Her vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 2:14 p.m. leaving westbound from the trails. Redacted advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Services building.
Oh my gosh, there it is.
She said it was not odd for vehicles to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner it was parked, backed in near the building. Investigators received a tip from Redacted in which he stated he was on his way. I need to go to page 4.
So some of the witnesses that we've heard of are being confirmed in here. I would say the younger ones were not really people I was aware of, but when we talk about the person at one of the homes, that one thing that I would feel like I just learned from that was that she came in and drove in, going under where the bridge area is on that drive, and then she came up there and then saw the man and she saw the two girls. So that's interesting because a lot of times we kept hearing that people kept trying to say, well, none of the witnesses saw the girls ever. And we knew that we didn't know that, right? Because nobody knows who all the witnesses were.
Right.
I don't know why it makes me sad. It makes me so sad.
I have it. I have page 4.
Okay. What's up?
Do you want me to? Can you read that? Do you want to read, or do you want me to continue? Or?
Okay, so we had vehicle to Delphi on State Road 25 around 2:10 p.m. on February 13, 2017. He observed a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV type vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. He stated it appeared as though it was backed in as to conceal the license plate of the vehicle. Blank both drew diagrams of where they saw the vehicle parked, and their diagram generally matched as to the area the vehicle was parked and the manner in which it was parked. Blank advised he remembered seeing a smaller, dark-colored car parked at the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. Blank, which is seen leaving at 2:28 p.m. on the Hoosier Harvest store video. Investigators spoke with Blank, who stated that she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13th of 2022 and observed a male subject walking west on the north side of 300 North, away from the Monon High Bridge. Blank advised that the male subject was wearing a blue-colored jacket and blue jeans and was muddy and bloody. I need a moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just accidentally, you're not going to believe, I think I just accidentally X'd out of that.
That's okay.
Hang on.
I needed a moment anyway. That is
that's a lot. That's a lot.
That is beyond upsetting.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what I did. I screwed up my computer. Okay,
no, that's okay.
Now I think it's okay.
Okay, so we did that. She further stated that it was appeared he had gotten into a fight.
Mm.
Investigators were able to determine from watching the video from the Hoosier Harvest that Blank was traveling on CR 300 North at approximately 3:57 p.m. Oh my God. Wow. Through interviews, electronic data, photographs, and video from the Hoosier Harvest store, investigators determined that there were other people on the trail that day after 2:13 p.m. Those people were interviewed, and none of those individuals encountered the male subject referenced above, witnessed by juvenile girls Blank and Blank. Further, none of those individuals witnessed victim 1 and victim 2. Investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard Allen in 2017. The narrative stated Mr. Allen was on the trail between 1:30 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. I'm sorry, 3:30 p.m. This is military time. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw three females. He noted one was taller than and had brown or black hair, and he did not remember the description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anything, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trail head, however, did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or videos. His cell phone did not list an IMEI, but did have the following: MEID 256 691 463 100 153 495, and then MEDHEX 990 0247 025 797. Potential follow-up information: who were three girls walking in the area of the Freedom Bridge. Investigators believe Mr. Allen was referring to the former Child Protective Services building as there.
Hang on just a second.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe he's looking at a stock ticker.
He's not looking at a stock ticker. I think it's an app that has geolocation of something probably, or live streaming open. I don't really know.
If he was tracking where they are, then he would be looking at something on his phone to check if he could find them.
Say, like tracking or checking messages if there's some coordinating of efforts happening. Also possibly having a live stream feature open on an app.
I'm just trying to get over the fact that he was seen walking away muddy and bloody. I'm trying to get my mind to figure that out. You know what I mean?
I know. It's hard to take in. There's a lot. Okay, I have page 5 now.
Alrighty, pull this up. Okay. Was not a Farm Bureau building in the area, nor had there been. So he's saying that he was parked at the CPS building, and he called it the Farm Bureau building. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, probably. He just didn't know what it was called.
Investigators believe the female he saw included blank and blank due to the time they were leaving the trail, the time he reported getting to the trail, and the description the three females gave. Investigators discovered that Richard Allen owned two vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:27 p.m. Traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store, which coincided with his statement that he had arrived at 1:30 p.m. at the trails. So that means he arrived like minutes after the girls were
That's
dropped off.
wild. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Minutes. Investigators note witnesses described the vehicle parked at the former Child Protective Services building as a PT Cruiser, small SUV, or smart car. Wow, that's a different thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Investigators believe these descriptions are similar in nature to a 2016 Ford Focus. On October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. So here's the update investigation, right? He
Mm-hmm.
advised he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge and that he went onto the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and then left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. He told investigators that he owns firearms and they are at his home. Richard Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, also spoke to the investigators, and she confirmed that Richard did have guns and knives at the residence. She also stated that Richard, still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. Could you imagine if he kept that damn thing? I mean, good Lord.
Mm.
On October 13th, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant of Richard Allen's residence at 1967 North Whiteman Drive, Delphi, Carroll County, Indiana. Among other items, officers located jackets, boots,
Mm-hmm.
knives, and firearms, including a 6-hour model P226, sorry if I mispronounced that, 40 caliber pistol with serial number U625627. Between October 15th, 2022 and
14th.
October 19th, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Allen's 6-hour model P226. The laboratory performed a physical examination and classification of the firearm, function test, barrel, and overall length measurement, test firing, ammunition, component characterization, microscopic comparison, and NIBIN. The laboratory determined the
Hang on. Sorry, y'all. Just a sec.
yeah, that was a broad range of cars that they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know about that smart car thing. I don't know what the witness was kind of thinking of maybe with that.
Well, as they said, the smart car, SUV, or what's that other one?
The PT Cruisers
Yeah, PT Cruiser
style.
is very determined to look at.
It's pretty boxy. I thought a PT Cruiser, isn't it boxy looking?
Well, if you've got a young kid who doesn't know anything about cars, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but for me, I think there's a big difference between a PT Cruiser and a Ford vehicle. But they knew it was a dark colored. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter from that standpoint of there because you do have the person that we already knew that worked in a building across from there who also saw that same vehicle and described it very specifically.
just trying to find page 6. I'm sorry. It's here. I just have to pull it up. Okay, good. I found it. All right.
Okay.
I can make it bigger.
All right. So they found unspent round located within 2 feet of victim number 2's body has been cycled through Richard M. Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory remarked, an identification
Sorry.
opinion is
Oh my gosh. Holy
that's
cow, y'all.
I can read
That's
those.
just
See, you
like
know how bad
really.
my eyesight is. She's helping me out.
No, I'm just making a huge mess of this. I really apologize, everybody. Just bear with me. Okay.
And then dip down some.
Right there.
Yeah.
And then let me.
There we go.
Okay, I'm not touching it.
Okay. An identification opinion reached that the evidence exhibits an agreement of class characteristics and a sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random. Is that
Striated.
okay? Impressed marks as evidenced by the correspondence of patterns or combination of patterns of surface contours. The interpretation of identification is subjective in nature and based on relevant scientific research and the reporting examiner's training and experience. So investigators then ran the firearm and found that the firearm was purchased by Richard Allen in 2001. Richard Allen voluntarily came to the Indiana State Police Post on October 26 of 2022. He spoke with investigators and stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow his 6R model P226 firearm. When asked about the unspent bullet, he did not have an explanation of why the bullet was found between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2. He again admitted that he was on the trail, but denied knowledge or knowing victim 1 or victim 2 and denied any involvement in the murders. So Carroll County Sheriff Department Detective Blank has been part of the investigation since it started in 2017. That's odd. He has an opportunity to review and examine evidence gathered in this investigation. Detective Blank, along with other investigators, believe the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male suspect seen on the video from victim 2's phone who forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where they were murdered. Through the statements and photographs of the juvenile females and the statement of Blank, and were the southeast edge of the trail at 12:43 p.m., east of Freedom Bridge at 1:26 p.m., and walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25 after 1:26 p.m. and before 1:46 p.m. They walked the entirety of the trail and observed only one person, an adult male. Blank vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harbor Store video at 1:46 p.m. and leaving at 2:14 p.m. And she stated she only saw one adult male, blank and blank described the male in similar manners wearing similar clothing, leading investigators to believe all four saw the same male individual. Investigators believe the male observed by blank and blank is the same male depicted in the video from victim two's phone due to the description of the male by the four females matching the male in the video. Furthermore, victim two's video was taken at 2:13 p.m. and blank saw only one male while she was on the trail from approximately 1:46 p.m. to 2:14 p.m.
Wow. Okay. Let me get page 7.
We are on the final 2 pages of the probable cause affidavit. And if you missed any of the probable cause, you can rewind to see the beginning of this, and we will kind of recap what we think we've learned of big information here. And open this back here. Oops. Come on now, bigger from there we go.
Wait, oh.
Okay. Investigators believe Richard Allen was the male seen by blank and blank, and the male seen in victim's 2 video. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. that day. I mean, he's putting himself right in the middle of the murder time. I mean, you couldn't ignore that.
Right.
Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 to 3:30 that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 p.m. toward the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators that he was wearing matches the clothing of the male in victim two's video, and the clothing description provided by blank and blank. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 2:10 p.m., 2:14 p.m., and 2:28 p.m. at the former CPS building. Through his own admission, Richard Allen walked the trails and eventually hiked to the Monon High Bridge and walked out onto the Monon High Bridge. A male subject matching Richard Allen's description was seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified other individuals on the trail or CR 300 North between 2:30 p.m. and 4:11 p.m. None of those individuals saw a male subject matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated that he only saw 3 girls on the trail who investigators believe to be blank and blank. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods
with victim 1 and victim 2. Do you want me to keep going for a sec?
Yeah, can you?
An unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2 is forensically determined to have been cycled through Richard Allen's 6-hour Model P226. The 6-hour Model P226 was found at Richard Allen's residence, and he admitted to owning it. Investigators were able to determine that he had owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on that property where the unspent round was found, that he did not know the property owner, and that he had no explanation as to why a round cycled through his firearm would be at that location. Furthermore, he stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226. Investigators believe that after the victims were murdered, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down County Road 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen by redacted walking back to his vehicle on County Road 300 North with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Redacted, along with investigators, believe the statements made by the witnesses because the statements corroborate the timeline of the death of the two victims, as well as coincide with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Further, the accounts replayed by redacted and redacted are similar in nature, and timestamps on photographs taken by redacted correspond to the times the juvenile females said they were on the trail and saw male individual. Okay, we've got one more page.
Oh my gosh, that one was hard.
I'm sorry.
Trying to keep myself together here.
It's not easy to read.
No, not to hear about him being in the woods and not to hear about somebody witnessed him walking away with bloody, muddy clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just frustrating that we're almost 6 years out and all of this. And obviously their names of the witnesses are out for to protect them, which they should.
Mm-hmm.
That's one part that they were worried about.
Okay, let me make this big and share it. This is page 8 of 8.
All right, let me click on that. And maybe, there we go. And make it bigger. You want to do this one or you want me?
You can go ahead.
Investigators believe Richard Allen was the male seen by blank and blank and the male seen by victims 2 video. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 p.m. toward the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators he was wearing matches the clothing of the male in victim 2's video and the clothing description provided by blank and blank. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 2:10 p.m., 2:14 p.m., and 2:28 p.m. at the former CPS building. Through his own admissions, Richard Allen walked the trails and eventually hiked to the Monon High Bridge and walked out onto the Monon High Bridge. A male suspect matching Richard Allen's description was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified other individuals on the trails or CR 300 North between 2:30 p.m. and 4:11 p.m. None of those individuals saw a male suspect matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated he only saw 3 girls on the trail who investigators believe to be blank and blank. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods with victims 1 and 2. An unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victims 1 and victim 2 was forensically determined to have been cycled through Richard Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The Sig Sauer model P226 was found at Richard Allen's residence, and he admitted to owning it. Investigators were able to determine that he had owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on the property. He had not been on the property where the unspent round was found, and that he did not know the property owner, and that he had no explanation as to why a round cycled through his firearm would be at the location. Furthermore, he stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226. Investigators believe that after the victims were murdered, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down CR 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen by Blank walking back to his vehicle on CR 300 North with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Blank, along with investigators, believe the statements made by the witnesses, because the statements corroborate, easy to say, the timeline of the death of the two victims, as well as coincide with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Further, the accounts relayed by Blank and Blank are similar in nature, and timestamps on photographs taken by Blank correspond to the times the juvenile females said they were on the trail and saw male individuals.
I knew it. I hated moving the screen because I think this is still page 7. I think we just read it twice. What the heck?
That's okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
That's all right.
sorry.
That's okay. We wanted to read it again.
It was sounding familiar to me, and I just wasn't sure because I couldn't see the page number. No.
I only thought the beginning. I thought, well, maybe I didn't read that.
I was just having some deja vu. So sorry, folks. Let me see.
It was still just as shocking and upsetting to read it another time.
For real.
Because we're talking about young witnesses that he said he saw. We're talking about a witness who did see him walking down the road with muddy and bloody clothes. Mm-hmm. One person who saw him in that effort. He admits to the times of the murders that he's there.
Did he even, it sounds like he did not have a clue in those interviews that they had all of this stuff on him, because he was just, it sounds like he was really providing a lot of information there.
Well, he didn't get rid of a gun, right? He didn't get rid of a gun. Ow.
I don't think I have page 8, maybe.
It could be the signature page.
I guess.
No, page said it is 7 pages. She has.
So there's a page that we don't have.
7 pages.
Oh, okay. So it would just be the final page, which may end up just being like signatures and stuff. You're right. They may have not even put that out.
So, do you have that announcement about what the judge had stated, that they were going to release the redacted version and all that kind of stuff? You know what I'm talking about? That was
from the My Case summary page for Richard Allen's case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's I have to change devices.
Okay.
So I have to go pick up my son.
Pull up the PowerPoint. Yeah.
I'm gonna hop off here and I'll pop back in. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. So let me pull up some other info that we've got that I'll share with you here. And I got to share my screen. I got to change it since we were sharing hers. I mean, it is shocking information. It's kind of hard to hear some of the details, to be honest with you. It's hard to read without getting emotional. Yeah. So let me pull up this info here. Again, I'm going to share this particular piece. This was by Angela Ganote. She sent that out right before the probable cause affidavit got released. It was just kind of some quick highlights that she had put in there that I think that we kind of have here too. So we know about the 40 caliber weapon that they talked about now. We know that 3 juveniles were entered and talked about this kind of creepy man. So we got to realize that I'm sure, and I know that the rumor thing was out there that, witnesses can look directly at him now and say that that is the guy I saw, right? These witnesses can say, this is him. So then they talk about how they did talk to him in 2017 and that he said he was there and he didn't see anybody. And that was kind of it. We know now that he actually was the one who parked at the CPS building being seen, right? It's odd they named 3 different times. Did you guys notice that? They talked about 3 different times that was going on. I just think that's interesting. We know that he's there between 1:30 and 3:30. Well, we hear that his vehicle parks at 1:27, that he's arriving because it's on video. So he gets there basically right after the girls get there. So we got an unspent round that they forensically are matching to his gun that they find at his house, and it's between the bodies, right? And then we have that, he talks about what he owns. He owns the jacket, and that his wife stated he owns a jacket like that, right? It's just amazing. Just amazing to me of the info that we're getting and about the vehicles and description of the vehicles. So, this was released by the prosecutor today, that the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office appreciates the judge hearing our arguments yesterday morning and looks forward to her ruling. As I stated in court yesterday, we strongly believe the evidence shows Richard Allen was involved in the murder of Libby and Abby. Because the investigation is ongoing, and given the intense public interest in this case, we think it would be best if the documents remain sealed. Regardless of the ruling, we believe we have a very solid case against Mr. Allen and look forward to making our argument in trial. So that's signed by the prosecuting attorney, Nicholas Leland. This was, after them hearing yesterday. So the only time his face was told that it was covered would have been when the first girl saw him. And that would have been covered by, our understanding was covered by a scarf. The rest of the time walking towards the bridge and stuff like that, he was looking down. But it sounds like that the lady who was walking or driving down the street, and then, sees him walking in there and notices him well enough to say that he is muddy and bloody and looks like he had been in a fight. Which, oh my gosh, that breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart. So this was filed November 26th. Is that right? What is it doing here? Out the way. November 28th, 9:40 p.m. And I'll go out because I want to show you the full document. This is a motion for change of venue from the court or from the county of that, the court of that county. Let me go out of here. Maybe. And bring this up. I hope this comes up okay. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is a verified motion for change of venue from the county. This comes now, the accused Richard Allen, by and through counsel Brad Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin, and pursuant to the Criminal Rule 12A of the Indiana Rules of Criminal Procedure, request that this court change venue from Carroll County. In support of this said motion, the accused and his counsel swears and affirms the following. On October 28, 2022, the state of Indiana filed a probable cause affidavit and charging information alleging that Richard Allen murdered victims 1 and victim 2 on or about February 13, 2017. That the allegations stem from the highly publicized death of 2 Carroll County teenagers. That even before Richard Allen has been accused of these crimes, the matter has been highly publicized. The extensive media attention began while the victims were missing. The extensive media attention continued after the victims were found. The extensive media attention continued for the next 80 months, 5+ years, in a variety of formats until Richard Allen was arrested. Coverage on local, statewide, and national television media. Coverage on local, statewide, and national print media. Coverage on several podcasts that reach local, state, national, and international audiences. Coverage on internet in a variety of social media platforms, including Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, and Facebook. They're talking about us, guys. So there you go. The media coverage included multiple press conferences by state and local authorities, including press conferences in which the elected prosecutor participated. The extensive media attention continued after Richard Allen was arrested, including the following. Coverage on local, statewide, and national television media. Coverage on local and statewide, national, and international print media. Coverage on a variety of social media platforms, including Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, and Facebook. After the arrest of Richard Allen, a press conference was held by state and local authorities. Although it could be argued that the amount of publicity that this particular case has received in the past 5+ years will make it difficult to find a jury that has not heard of this case, Richard Allen's defense team has gleaned statistical data that would strongly indicate the moving the case trial just 150 miles away would significantly reduce the likelihood of obtaining a tainted jury pool. That since his arrest, data procured from Google Trends and Google Ads details the amount of internet interest through Google searches for Richard Allen, and the data is quite telling. During the month of October, the search for Richard Allen in Carroll County ranged between 1,000 and 10,000 searches for a county with just over 20,000 residents. On average, around 1 in every 2, 50% of Carroll County residents have conducted online searches of Richard Allen during the month of October following the arrest. Comparatively speaking, Fort Wayne is a city with over 260,000 residents, roughly 13 times the size of Carroll County. In the month of October following his arrest, the average monthly searching for Richard Allen in Fort Wayne ranged between 1,000 and 10,000 searches. On average, therefore, 1 in every 26, 3.8462% residents in Fort Wayne have performed an online search for Richard Allen, compared to 1 in every 2, 50% of residents in Carroll County, conducting the same internet search of Richard Allen after his arrest. Fort Wayne is less than 100 miles from Delphi, but in the 100-mile internet searches fell from roughly 50% of residents in Carroll County Googling Richard Allen to less than 5% of residents Googling Richard Allen. This would mean that Carroll County residents have searched Richard Allen over 10 times more often than those in Fort Wayne, a city less than 100 miles from Delphi. Presumably, jury pools from counties even farther away would have searched Richard Allen. In addition, according to the various sources, as many as 300 people were actively involved in the search of the 2 victims while they were missing. In 2022, population of Delphi, Indiana is under 3,000 residents, and therefore it may be the case that as much as roughly 10% of the Delphi population was actively involved in participating for the search of the victims, and presumably therefore arguably heavily invested in the matter and the outcome of the case. Those involved in the search for the victims, in addition to showing a strong investment in the case, arguably could be called as a witness, or at a minimum, their involvement in the search should prevent them from serving on the jury, as they may have information concerning the layout of the area searched that could infect the jury, and have opinions based upon their involvement in the search for the victims. Additionally, arguably, any of the family and friends of anyone involved in the search for the victims could be tainted as well from serving on a jury. Additionally, many Carroll County residents have been involved in some aspect of this case, whether it be in investigation capacity, police, or as fact witnesses that could be called as witnesses in the case, or those that searched for the victims, or residents who simply are interested in the matter and have conducted their own independent investigation. Additionally, because of the small number of residents in Carroll County, juxtaposed against the large percentage of the population that may have been involved in one of the capacities detailed on the previous paragraph, the likelihood for a tainted jury pool is excessive. During the 5 years following the disappearance of the victims, the Indiana State Police and other law enforcement agencies have established an active command post in Delphi to conduct interviews and press conferences, all of which increased the interest in the investigation. This increased exposure lends itself to the tainting of jurors and increased possibility of a biased jury panel. Why it is impossible for the defense to accurately predict, having received only minimal discovery, it is likely that the law enforcement investigation has conducted possibly hundreds of interviews of potential witnesses and other community members that may or may not have information regarding the crime. Again, the raw number of people in the Carroll County community directly or indirectly involved with the investigation, just opposed with the small number of residents in Carroll County, render it impossible to find jurors without connections to the case, or to someone involved in the case, or without preconceived notions about Richard Allen's guilt or innocence. Presumably, residents from other counties around Indiana, especially further away from Carroll County, will not include any resident who are fact witnesses or friends and family of fact witnesses, or those involved in the investigation, or those that have conducted their own investigations, which means, people are out, or participated in the search of the victims, or who have entrenched opinions on the case based upon, in part, their knowledge of witnesses or facts from the case. It is common sense to presume that the residents from the counties further away from Carroll County will not have the same level of involvement in the case, and therefore will be able to be more fairly decide the matters without concern about how their verdict may affect their relationships with other Carroll County residents. Additionally, the amount of media coverage of the case has been so extensive that the court was compelled to engage numerous law enforcement personnel to ensure the safety and security of all actors, including the accused, from any actual or perceived threats of harm that surrounded a somewhat simple pretrial hearing in this case. Subjecting potential jurors to such an environment in what may be a multi-week trial would undoubtedly distract jurors to a point that impartially could not be obtained. Additionally, the fact that the prosecutor requested that the probable cause affidavit be sealed, and that the original sitting judge, sua sponte, recused himself from the case, is another evidence that both the prosecutor and prior judge also recognized the magnitude of interest and publicity to this case, and to the practical problems associated with the interest and publicity in Carroll County. Additionally, Richard Allen was a community member who for many years worked at CVS in Delphi. As CVS in the type of business that is commonly visited by general public, Richard Allen would have come in close contact with many of the Delphi and Carroll County citizens, creating another real concern of a high probability of bias among potential jurors in Carroll County. That Richard Allen's defense team believe that it's the best means to avoid a tainted jury pool and to receive a fair veneer for both sides would be to venue the matter to a county at least 150 miles away from Carroll County and to conduct the jury trial in that chosen county. I swear under penalty of perjury that the statement contained in this pleading are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge, and it is signed by Richard Allen and then his attorney, Andrew Baldwin. So this is the request, the motion to move the trial. I don't think anybody is surprised by any of that whatsoever. We kind of all knew that was going to be coming. Okay, I just want to make sure if she was back here. All right, so we addressed this. So I had this for us to just kind of glance at. before knowing, even though I was a little suspect, we were going to get the probable cause affidavit today of the redactions. And I just wanted to show about the bond. So we know that the bond hearing is delayed until February 17th of 2023. And we know that the judge is allowing for that bond hearing to happen. It canceled the original first date of a pretrial hearing for Richard Allen that would have been in January, actually coinciding pretty close to when Keegan Klein's pretrial was supposed to happen. So wanted to look at the Indiana law and just show you that, and it's pretty easy. I have the full law here. If you want to look through it, I can do it. But this information is from Justia U.S. Law, and it shows the 2010 Indiana Code for Criminal Law and Procedure, Article 33. And this is Preliminary Procedures, Chapter 8, Bail and Bail Procedure. So I just kind of highlighted a very few things. It's a very long document. You can go look it up on yourself. It's IC 35-338. Bail bond defined as used in this chapter. Bail bond means a bond executed by a person who has been arrested for the commission of an offense for the purposes of ensuring, and this is what they have to ensure, the person's appearance at the appropriate legal processing, another person's physical safety, or the safety of the community. So when we get to the next area, it would be more pertinent to the case where it's talking about murder. And so under murder and other offenses of Section 2, it says murder is not bailable in Indiana when the proof is evident or the presumption strong. In all other cases, offenses are bailable. So in Indiana, if they have strong evidence, right, that the proof is evident and the presumption is strong, you are not allowed bail in Indiana. So that's that's a big deal. Now, why did they go ahead and are going to allow this hearing, even though they don't allow bail in Indiana? I think so they dot their I's and they cross their T's, because nobody wants any type of mistrial that the defense attorneys didn't ask for it, right? A bail hearing, and check if he could possibly get one. And two, that, they can't come back and say, well, they come back and go, okay, the judge didn't allow a bail hearing, and my attorneys didn't ask for a bail hearing, so I was misrepresented, so I want new attorneys and a new trial, right? So this goes through about bonds and how people can, pay their bonds, and they can use real estate and use all that kind of stuff. We're not really interested in that. I did highlight in this next section just about the supervisory need not be financially responsible for the defendant. It says release the defendant on personal recognizances unless the state presents evidence relevant to a risk by the defendant of non-appearance or to the physical safety of the public, and the court finds by preponderance of the evidence that the risk exists. So the other thing I thought about, again, it goes through pretrial service fees and that kind of stuff, which we don't need to look into all that kind of thing. The other thing would be, are they looking to also basically charge him with what his intentions were for the murder also, because remember, it talked about the murder too could be that he was there to commit a crime, and that maybe he didn't actually murder, right? He didn't actually murder the girls, but his intention of the crime he was there to commit is a felony crime. Remember, we reviewed that before, that talked about it could be if he's there to molest a child, sexually assault somebody, sexually assault a child, rape of a child, kidnapping, right? All of those types of things. That if he's sitting there and there's those happening, but the murder happened, they'd have to prove that he's there for the other crime. So the reason I did that is because I went through this just to see what the bail procedure was for sexual violent predator defendant. This, and it applies only to a sexual violent predator defendant as used in the section sexually violent predator defendant below, means is a sexually violent predator under, and that talks about the section, is arrested for or charged with the commission of an offense that would classify the person as a sex or violent offender. A court may not admit a sexual violent predator defendant, person charged with child molestation, person charged with child solicitation, to bail until the court has conducted a bail hearing in open court, except as provided in section 6 of the chapter. The court shall conduct a bail hearing not later than 48 hours after the person has been arrested, unless exigent circumstances prevent holding the hearing within the 48 hours. At the conclusion of the hearing described in subsection C, the court shall consider whether the factor described in IC 35A warrant the imposition of bail amount that exceeds court or court guidelines, if applicable. And then I went ahead and highlighted, even though this is a little different, it talks about the no contact order for certain defendants placed on bail, time limits, and modifications. It just talks about the section applies only to the defendant who is charged with committing a violent crime as defined in the section above that results in bodily injury to a person, or B, if a court releases a defendant described in subsection A to bail amount without holding a bail hearing in open court, the court shall include as a condition of the bail the requirement that defense refrain from any direct or indirect contact with the victim. It also kind of deals with, you have to watch with the any type of witness at all. So it talked about amount of bail. Again, I just highlighted that this is to assure physical safety of another person or the community, which I would argue that by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant poses a risk to physical safety of another person or the community. In setting and accepting an amount of bail, the judicial officer shall take into account all factors relevant to the risk of the non-appearance. This is just talking more about the relevance to the risk of non-appearance and about bail alternation, so we don't need that. And it talks about revoking bail. And this one I did because while admitted to bail, the defendant or the defendant's agent threatened or intimidated a victim, prospective witnesses, or jurors concerning the pending criminal proceedings or any other issues. So, you know, that just goes to show the goes to show the information that why they would not issue him bail. But really, we don't have to worry about that because it is about murder charges with him. So that's what, we are looking at and having to do, that they would not have bail. But I think they're doing that so there's not a possibility of a mistrial or they didn't do something with it. So I'm just going back and looking at the notes. So we know the parked vehicle. We know he walked down County Road 300. We know that there was a Ford Focus described. Now, there was other vehicles described by the teenagers, but the Ford Focus was a vehicle described by a person who was across the street, worked across the street. We know there's a witness who saw him walking down the street with muddy and bloody clothing. We know that a bullet was found that matched forensically to the bullet in his gun. And he can't explain why that bullet is between the bodies of Abby and Libby and how it got there. He already admitted, I didn't loan the gun to anybody. He admitted, I'm there during the same times as the murder. And he doesn't know Ron Logan, doesn't know the property owner. I don't know about anybody else, but I am just having a hard time with seeing him walk down with blood and mud on him. And that they knew it was a fight. I mean, it's blowing my mind. It's totally upsetting. So here's the question. I know Amy has the first announcement that they made about what they were going to release or not release in the case. We know it was redacted. And it was redacted from witnesses. So here's my thing. Is that everybody? Is that everything? Is that everything? Or did they keep some things? Right? Because they had stuff redacted. Is this the whole document? Or is it possible that there's some more stuff out there? Because one thing I guess I expected this to tell was, how did they get to Richard Allen? Right? I didn't see any way that they said they got to Richard Allen. They say that he was talked to in 2017, right? And then suddenly they're talking to him again October 16th of 2022. Right? I mean, am I wrong? I don't think we heard how they got to him. How did they go back to him? I'm just reading the chat here. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people. There was more witnesses so I knew way back when, at the very beginning, when this happened and stuff was going on. Okay, I heard about that there was witnesses who saw the vehicle at the CPS building. The police reached out, remember, and they asked people. They asked people to say if you parked that vehicle there, right? And I remember that they were saying that the vehicle was there between noon and 5 p.m. about a vehicle being there, right? I mean, I pay attention to that stuff. Noon to 5. So maybe it was just a general range or whatever. Nobody ever came forward and said that it was their vehicle, right? No one. At the beginning, Richard Allen didn't say that that was his vehicle. He said it after fact. He said it in the October 2022 interview. This is before they, got him and arrested him. Then they talk about they got boots, they got clothing, they got the gun, and they have knives. Now, the knives don't necessarily mean anything. They didn't bring anything up about that specifically. So I'm not going to read anything to that because they didn't state anything about it. But they did state about the gun, and the gun had a bullet. So, and then we do hear confirmation, and I know that had already been floating out there, that when the girl saw the man, that somebody said gun in the recording, like that they saw him with the gun. And I believe that was actually Abby who said it. So that's when the video and stuff stops and stuff from that. So he goes down there. They say he's seen on the trail, and then all of a sudden he's no longer seen for a while. He's not seen walking back. He's not seen doing whatever. And he goes back and he's going to his car. I need to go back and really re-look at everything, I think, again, and I'll probably do it a million times, because I want to know why there was 3 separate times talking about the vehicle passing. Did you guys see when we were talking about that? It was very strange. Yeah, Paige, I wonder that same thing too. And Paige, you're welcome to come up here as well if you want to. I know in the Discord and stuff, there's a link there. But yeah, I'm just thinking this stuff out right now, because I'm gonna have to say I'm still in shock. By a few things. We heard about that there was a witness on the other side of the bridge before. So this witness came over to their house, right? The drive that goes under that bridge area that you can drive goes underneath there, doesn't see anybody, doesn't whatever, gets out, takes a walk, goes up there, and then all of a sudden, she sees this guy up there. And then later she's walking across, and she sees the 2 girls. And they say that would be Abby and Libby. And every time it's that, it breaks my heart. First of all, please, I want to say that obviously I know why they say victim 1 and victim 2, because that's what they have to do in there. But these are girls, these are people. And Abby and Libby, they're calling as victim 2. And Abby, they're calling as victim 1. So I am just, wow. I'm trying to observe it all. I'm trying to suck it all in here. What's the most shocking thing that you think that we've learned from that probable cause affidavit? Yeah, Kelt, I've heard about some stuff that's been out there and kind of floating around and stuff, and actually about about witnesses and about things that people have seen, but without confirmation and stuff at the time, you don't want to share misinformation. And I know we're all the same way. That way we want to make sure that we can confirm exactly what's going on, and also that they're trying to protect the witnesses. The teenage girls they're talking about, there were young girls. There was these young girls he was face to face with, and you listen to them talk about, and the adult female who saw him on over near the end of the bridge. They were polite to him and said hi, and they were just like how he didn't say anything and he's covering up his face. So he already knows, he's trying to keep incognito. No, I wouldn't erase it, Kelt. I think I have heard about, the SUV. Obviously, the SUV thing is confirmed that was described as a potential vehicle. So they named a PT Cruiser, right? PT Cruiser, an SUV, a smart car. Now, those all were in a description that came from, I believe, like the young teenage girls. So, they may not know vehicles or whatever. I mean, for me, obviously, there's a huge difference between a smart car and a PT Cruiser or whatever. But when you have the adult who works across the street and confirms about it being a dark Ford Focus, and that he was not the only one who saw it, who said that it was parked very odd and purposeful to cover the plate. Yes, Mama Bear, actually I took a sip of Diet Sprite. Yeah, I think the Ford Focus. So, and remember when they did the search warrant on the house, they took the car. So we all know what's happening to that car now. Anybody following in true crime, we guarantee that they are spraying that vehicle with some of that material to find blood in the vehicle. I'm also going to pull back up. Let me pull this up here. I'm going to pull back up the Angela Ganote. Luminol. Yes. I want to. Could you imagine? I mean, I don't care how good you clean out the car. We've all seen different things on true crime that people sit here and think they cleaned up something wonderfully and you can't see anything. And all of a sudden, they spray the luminol and it's bright as could be. So if a person is walking or driving by and they can see this what blows my mind though, that they can see there's mud and blood on them, right? Then that blood got in that car. There's no way no blood got in that car. Yeah. Samantha, you're right. The shell casing is amazing. I mean, I just, you know what, honestly, because we didn't know any detail about it. Sorry about the dog bark. We don't know any detail about it. I really thought that, okay, we obviously knew Bridge Guy had a gun. We all heard about that. And then you just think, okay, he has it hidden. Maybe they'll, try to find it and try to make out in the video of what, or something of what kind of gun it is, because I figured they're not going to be able to tell because you wouldn't shoot it, right? It wasn't shot, I'm assuming, because everybody would have heard that and that would have been very noticeable. But that he dropped a bullet in there because, as the driver who drove by him said, it looked like a guy in a fight and he had blood and mud on him. So that blood is going to be in the car. I know, I need you here, Paige, for you can take my dog out for walks when she needs it or he needs it. And just looking at the different stuff. So 3 juveniles saw him beforehand. He saw that somebody saw him going down the street when he was walking to his vehicle. He had the lady on the other side of the bridge who said hello to him and he didn't acknowledge. And we didn't catch him. And he was interviewed in 2017. And he said he was there during the time of the murders. It is amazing. And I wonder, the big thing that I was going to talk about today was about that, everybody was like, oh, his attorney is saying that there's not enough evidence and they don't have evidence to hold him and, blah, blah, blah. And that's why he wants a bail hearing. First of all, that's exactly what a defense attorney should be doing for you, right? That's what they do. But the other reason is because he's going to try to say that their evidence isn't strong enough because, as it said, in Indiana, the law is you don't get bail for murder. Is there evidence and stuff here, and it's solid evidence and that you don't get released. So, and they had to be careful. They didn't release the names, but they, for the first time, acknowledged where there were witnesses. And I guarantee you one thing that's probably not in here is that the people who all saw him well enough could confirm that, yes, that is actually the guy. So, well, I appreciate you guys all coming in here. We were waiting and I just said today, wait a minute. There she is.
Hello.
Hello.
I didn't mean to come back in at the end of your show. It
No,
sounded
no, no,
like you
no,
were
no.
wrapping up.
No, it wasn't really a wrap up, but I was just saying that I, appreciate everybody coming on so quickly because we were waiting and expecting that we thought we just all had a conversation earlier today that I was like, I really feel like we're going to get this today because I think Monday she probably reviewed it to look at the redactions from the um, prosecutor's office and was good to go and stuff on there. Um, I guess the one thing I expected there to be, Amy, was how did we get to him? How did we get to him?
Yeah, that's not revealed. I think it's interesting to think about what it didn't say, information it didn't contain. I don't. It doesn't mean that they didn't have digital evidence on him or any kind of online presence had anything to do with it. But I noticed there was just a lack of mention of any kind of technology devices other than just him trying to explain why he was looking at his phone. That he was checking the stock market. That's why somebody saw him with his head down looking at his phone. But what other technology was mentioned? I didn't hear any kind of
there wasn't anything. I mean, there
seizure.
wasn't. It wasn't even. They talked about things that they collected, but
was anything I was expecting like a thumb drive or digital images, or some kind of user profile or connection to just to Kegan but see none of that's mentioned, and that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it is interesting. I was surprised.
yeah,
And
it's like they're not showing all their cards. It would be one of my guesses, right? Because
maybe there isn't anything. Maybe what if I keep running that through my mind? What if it really is this kind of one solitary figure? What the heck? That blows my mind if that's the case. It kind of feels like it a little bit after seeing this, but then again, these are only going to be things related directly to what they can connect to Richard Allen.
well, and remember in the wording though, it did say that he was involved. They still made it sound like he was participating in something. He was participating because there was just one little sentence that kind of gave that little thing of his participating in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I need to reread think about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's going to have to be reviewed and then re-reviewed and then re-reviewed because I just feel like what was missing is, okay, how did you talk about you interviewed him in 2017? He said he was there, and then you re-interviewed him again in 2022, and it's like there's a gap in between there, right? There's the huge gap.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're asking him about a gun, if he owns a gun. And you're asking him whether he knows the property owner, which he doesn't. Then you're asking him about, his vehicle and where he parked, which he didn't seem to mention that in 2017, but he did mention that in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And he still has that car. Here's what's amazing to me. Does it blow anybody else's mind that he still has the dang gun and he still has the car?
And possibly the jacket.
Right. And the jacket.
Maybe the boots.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
I think the reason we don't know anymore is because if there is, including digital, honestly.
Yeah, that's just completely absent.
They're still looking for it. They're looking through it. They're probably forensically looking through everything that they collected during the search warrant.
For sure, there's so much stuff that would come out later in discovery well beyond this. I mean, this is enough to put him in jail and charge him. I mean, definitely. This isn't flimsy.
No.
It's not weak.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Samantha. Actually, the best, safest place for him is there. I mean, is to be in jail for they can protect him and stuff from that. I think it's interesting that, they're like, okay, hey, Fort Wayne's, about 100 miles away, and they're this percentage, and then now, 150 miles away and stuff from here. I just feel like I don't know. I mean, there was a few surprising things, but I feel like there's some stuff that's still missing, you know? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure one of the biggest things were looking for the trophies that they talk about that are missing, clothing of the girls. But if they were looking in a fire pit or something like that, wouldn't it mean that that could have been burned?
Sure. Well, also, what's interesting is that the rumor was flying about them possibly finding a weapon and or maybe a cell phone in the Wabash River back then. Remember?
Yeah.
And it ends up being there wasn't. Well, we think there wasn't a whole lot in terms of a murder weapon found there, right? Nothing that was used in the crime that was a weapon is what it. But maybe something was found. We don't know. But it turns out that this dude had the gun that he used that day in his freaking house.
And how close that he's by. I mean, to be honest with you, my biggest, not that I didn't know that it was a vehicle in CPS building. I kind of wondered why that just kind of floated away and we never heard another thing about it. I mean, because the other thing I was frustrated with at the time is they didn't give us a description of what the vehicle was. Right? Maybe that's because you had some people not sure what kind of car it was and gave 3 things, but then you have the guy who worked there giving another one, and they just weren't quite sure what vehicle it was. But the CPS building, we only heard of if you were a vehicle parked at the CPS building between the hours of noon and 5. That was what they gave us now, noon and 5. Then you needed to contact them. Same difference of if you were walking off a bridge, you need to contact us.
They were wanting to speak to the driver of a vehicle parked at the CPS building. So if they wanted to talk to the driver of the vehicle, that would just make you think, well, they know what the vehicle is. It's not like they need a description. And sure enough, they had lots of witnesses of him and a vehicle. Now, the descriptions are kind of different, but I'm wondering if the type of Ford Focus that they may have seen, which is a very common car, right? So I don't know. I don't remember for sure, but I always had it in my head that whatever was parked at CPS was white. I didn't know. I had it in my brain that it was just white. Didn't know if it was a truck, SUV, car, or whatever. But they said that the CPS building vehicle matches his 2016 Ford Focus. Is that the way you understood it?
Yes. That it is his Ford Focus vehicle.
It might be one of those that has the hatchback, and that might have kind of looked like a smart car to a younger person, like to a kid or whatever that was a witness. It might have seemed like a smart car in 2016.
Yeah,
if it was the kind with a hatchback.
Yeah.
I don't know though. And is it safe to assume that's the one that they took in October?
Yes, that's the one that got hauled away. They left the truck. They did not haul his truck away. They only pulled the...
I'm really curious about what they found in processing that car.
Yeah, and they're not going to upfront at least at the beginning, they're not going to upfront tell everything that they have and or are looking
No.
into.
Right. There's no need for that.
So
It'll come later.
I am worried that this trial is going to be way a lot longer, because in the motion to move the trial to a different county talked about how basically like that their attorneys want to talk to they want to talk to the witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to talk to all the witnesses that maybe they have, or maybe find a witness that they don't have from the area. So they don't want somebody, in there. Yeah, Paige, I don't know about the Anthony shots. I don't say that, I can't say that that's not a reason that they got there, because that's why who the kids were communicating with to meet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They're
I've
still
heard
working on that.
it would be so odd, and the circumstances, to say that the girls were lured by some type of catfishing through Anthony shots, and then just coincident also again, then there happens to be somebody who takes them off the bridge and takes them down. um and I'm
That
sorry, I have a hard time. I don't have a hard time. Maybe he didn't know Ron Logan, but if he's going over there and he's walking and seeing the fish and doing this and doing that, I mean, why would you park at the CPS building instead of parking in the parking lot?
and
That'd
you
be a
don't.
question.
Absolutely. I mean, that's shady as all get out. I mean, there's no need to park with your license plate backed up like that where nobody can see it, and to park so far away. And
Right,
what in the heck are you doing there anyway? You
right.
know.
And what? And here's the thing. And why are you somebody seeing you walking down the street muddy and bloody like
Oh,
you were in
he's
a
so
fight?
screwed. Yeah,
I mean, what's
absolutely.
frustrating is that somebody had to witness wounds on him.
Hmm.
I'm assuming, and I hate to say
Yeah,
this. I hate to say
I
this.
I know what you're saying.
Yes, I hate to say it, but maybe he wasn't as injured as she thought he was, because the blood was not his.
Hmm.
I mean, he could have been. His stuff could have been messed up. His jacket could have been disheveled. He could have had
Well,
stuff
he had a
torn.
couple of different layers on, long sleeves, and probably gloves. You know what? Very. He might have had some defensive wounds, or even, the hilt of the knife, or I don't want to think about it, but the slipping that would occur, he's going to cut himself. But then again, he's got all the layers. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think, and see, that's why it goes into Paige's mentioning about him having bruises and stuff like that. I would agree, except for the fact also, and then I've always said that I find this statement interesting, and this was only based back in 2017, and this is based on the Ron Logan probable cause affidavit for the search warrant, right? For some reason, and I don't know why it was put in there, but it was stated that the girls um, did not put up a fight, right? I'm trying to think how they word that exactly.
Yeah, I
Um,
call bullshit on that.
right. I'm just like, I don't care. I mean, and maybe there's something else that we know, but I can't imagine, maybe at the beginning they're sitting cooperating, thinking that's their best route to get out of there, and whatever's going to happen. But I guarantee you, if somebody, pulls out a knife, and you have somebody has a gun or whatever,
Hmm.
you're going to start fighting right there, because now you're fighting for your life.
Hmm. Oh,
So I
absolutely.
don't. I never understood why that was put in there.
I'm wondering if that wasn't just a phrase that was left in there from like a template. You know what I mean? Like, or some like a bullet point that is usually included, whether or not there was a struggle an evidence of a struggle, and then it was just like something that was plugged in there, because there's quite a bit on that particular search warrant that seemed like everything in the kitchen sink was thrown in there. So I wonder if it was just one of those phrases, because it really seems odd to include that.
Well, I feel like they're going to go so what I think they're probably doing is they're forensically looking at anything they collected at the search warrant, right? So we know the car. Okay. If he sat in the car and he had girl's blood on him, does anybody possibly believe that he cleaned that car well enough that they're not going to find any?
Nope.
There's no way.
The thing's probably lit up like a Christmas tree.
I mean, and that's like boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's they find that there's some there, and then two, they just have to get DNA off of that, and they're like, okay, explain this, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't explain. You're not able to explain that. And then check his phone forensically. You know, I think that they may have not gone through all of his phone, because before it was explained that, oh yeah, he was there by and whatever. So there's something missing in between there. I feel like there's something missing between the 2017 discussion interview to how did you get to him on the 18th?
Right.
I don't think it answered those questions.
If it's just a sheer coincidence, just kind of a one moment of going through files and something clicked and it was more of a shot in the dark, but let's go check and see anyway. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's frustrating.
Walking distance away, lives that close, works that close, still has the car, maybe still has the jacket. I mean, come on. I'm just.
And there's a freaking video, and we have a moving picture of him with sound, with his voice, too. Just.
But his car was on They had it captured.
Yeah.
They said that about, well, at this time we saw this car. At this time we saw this car. At this witness saw a muddy, bloody person walking this way. Are you kidding me? I'm just, I don't get it. I mean, if you do see that, let's say, pretend they thought all three cars were involved. Then you check everybody in the area. That's step one, right? Check everyone in the area with those type of cars.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh my gosh. This case just breaks my heart.
Me too. It's kind of tough to think about. All of that was right there, but how much of it is hindsight, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I just, wonder if the video and stuff like that, could have helped anything with it. But I mean, the good news is that we've got him in jail. I don't foresee him getting released on bail.
Yeah.
Hopefully by then they'll even have more evidence that proves that he's the guy, because I don't know.
Honestly, seeing the details that are in the PCA, I can't imagine that this is going to go to trial. I mean, do you think it will? Or do you think he's going to try to change his plea?
I think they're going to wait to see whether he gets bail or not, is what his attorneys are going to do. That way he sees that he's not going to get bail.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when he doesn't get bail, and I think when they're done with the rest of the testing, they'll probably go to him and say, we've got now, maybe this is just speculation and example, but we've found that there was blood in your car. We matched it to the girl's DNA. We checked your phone, and your phone, was, you know, definitely in the area and blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, these boots match a footprint. So if he's muddy, there has to be footprints. Now they could be messed up because they let people still 300 people still check the area looking for the girls. So hopefully there's maybe a print or something nearby. They already matched the gun bullet.
I think that right there, the fact that they had the I can't remember the term in the paperwork, but the etching where it was in the chamber, and I don't know what can happen, but I guess there was some kind of malfunction, some mechanical problem, I guess, that would cause that bullet to fall out, or if it got jammed, you know, whatever. But the fact that it's been verified microscopically in a lab, and it bears the mark of his particular gun, you know, that's there's so much there. There's a lot of evidence there.
Well, that it fell between the girls is telling me that what if he's there and the gun jams or he tries to pull the gun out?
Mm-hmm.
One of the girls, maybe, you know, maybe it jams. He's trying to do something with it. You know, the gun gets hit. It falls to the ground. That's how maybe a one falls out.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to unjam it is what falls out. And then, I mean, then that's when I go into the scenario if there's somebody else there, because if he still has the gun and the gun's dropping to the floor and this is happening and there's two girls fighting with him that are going to try to get away, then how can by himself, as little as he is, pull out a knife and kill both the girls? Because the gun was obviously out or he wouldn't have dropped the bullet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Speculation.
He had his weapon drawn. I mean, and he even said that he had never loaned his gun out. Nobody's ever borrowed it.
Right. His own testimony to them of him talking already committed him to, I've never been to that property again. Okay, well, then that confirms that your stuff's being seen there. This would be the only time he'd been there, right? I've never loaned my gun to anybody else. Okay, well, then that means only you could have had the gun.
I mean, he's a very good witness against himself so far.
I mean, he's practically almost saying he did it without saying he did it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really. I think the only time we would probably hear anything about I think they'll get more evidence, come to him with what evidence they have. I think the defense attorneys probably won't look at that or whatever that much until after the bail hearing. And then they will sit here and look to try to offer him, we'll give you a plea deal and we'll take death penalty off the table.
Mm-hmm.
If you confess, tell us what happened and tell us anybody else that's possibly involved in some way or manner. You know, did somebody else set this up for you? Were you using the Anthony Schatz profile? Did somebody use Anthony Schatz profile to help you set up the meeting?
Right.
You know, I don't know. It's very interesting.
There will be a definite I think there's going to be a connection. I don't, like you said, it would be such a giant leap to say they were there to meet the good-looking Anthony Schatz catfishing account person on the bridge at that specific day and time. Kiggins placed himself in Delphi already. He has put himself in Delphi, and there's no need for him to be there. He has no reason to be there. Nothing logically would make sense for him to be at the Marathon gas station. If if that's true, then it's tied together somehow, and they probably already know how.
Right. And what is he? And if he's saying that he's at the gas station, what is he waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
What is he waiting for at that gas station?
Burner phone.
You know what I mean?
And he's not interested in the stock market either.
Yeah. What is Keegan sitting there waiting for at certain, time about stuff? Mm-hmm. Hey. Calm down. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
It's like, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, Keegan Klein has already put himself there by his testimony.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I just, his testimony and stuff like that, you can't ignore what he said he did.
Right. And it wouldn't benefit him to lie. It would only work against him.
Well, we've got a long time before we find anything else out.
I think so, unless another arrest comes. Yep, I would say, February.
Here's the thing. Do you think, is there any way that they kept other information back?
Absolutely, sure. Yeah.
They don't have to disclose everything on that probable cause affidavit.
No, just enough.
Because I feel like, I don't know about everybody else, but I feel like there's at least a paragraph missing for me.
At least, yeah.
Connection of 2017 to 2022. How did we get there?
And I think there's got to be a reason that that's not given to us, because there's still some things that need to happen and some sorting out, possibly bringing in somebody else or additional charges, that.
Right. Well, and we can't ignore, here's the other thing. We're not imagining it. We can't ignore that they're saying themselves that they believe other people are possibly involved in this murder, in this case. So we can't ignore that. That's not us just making it off the top of our heads, that other people may be involved, and that's why they want to continue of tips.
I bet there's probably at least one person, I would imagine, going, oh my God, today, like scrambling, getting a little bit uncomfortable and nervous.
Which, speaking of that, I did pop up the Abby and Libby hotline that is still open and active, as well as the email address. And I think that's from anything else that people have now come to fruition to realize that, oh, maybe I do know something.
It's definitely going to jog the memory of people that were there that day. It might spark some more information, people coming forward. And I think it's good that you have the tip line up there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the big thing of, okay, now you know somebody they picked up. Now you know on that day, like maybe something you were doing. Maybe, people who knew him saw him somewhere and saw he was acting weird, right? Or, just something overall that they know about or know a connection, maybe, who knows, between Keegan Klein and him or whatever. But I just feel like there's going to be definitely more info coming out. So
I'm kind of surprised about the whole gun thing, because that occurs quite a bit in the PCA, talking about his gun. And heretofore, I just kind of thought of it as a tool to motivate them quietly to the location where he was going to, that it was just a way to control them from the bridge. And
Right.
that, I guess I just assumed it just kind of got holstered and then really wasn't that major of a component to the case.
Right.
Because that's not how they were killed.
Yeah.
So it's shocking to me to hear about the bullet that was there, and we knew he had his concealed carry license, and then to find out that it was actually his gun registered to him, and it's scientifically, forensically linked to the murder scene.
Yep.
That's just blowing my mind.
Yeah. Well, and his total admittance of everything. His wife's confirmation that he owned the jacket, right? Jackets that they took from the house. Maybe it's not the jacket, but maybe he has the same type. Maybe he bought a new, who knows?
Right.
That they took boots from the house. So they talked about a gun, and they talked about knives that they removed from the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know there were various different things. I know they dug up stuff. Don't know what that is. There could be other things forensically they're doing with his phone and stuff like that. As everybody knows, that takes forever. Hopefully not like 3 years like a Keegan Klein, but it shouldn't take that long for them to figure out things.
I would assume he was on a burner phone that day.
Yeah.
Or they could have been able to track him through his cell provider, like the pinging of the towers of the different devices in that area, or the one tower. I guess there's only the one tower in Delphi, but like they should, if he had his phone on, you would think, I just feel like that must have been a burner phone that he had with him.
But if you got a burner phone, then they have to ask questions and stuff. Okay, was this phone with you? No, I didn't take that phone with me. Okay, and you can walk from your work and from your home to here. Why did you drive up over to this other side and park backwards on a CPS building so people can't see your license plate? Why is there an eyewitness who sees you walking that looks like you're muddy and bloody, and their description is it looks like you were in a fight?
Yeah, they called him the creepy guy.
Yeah. That another lady saw you on, on the bridge and stuff in there. The biggest thing it answered is well, no, it didn't. I'll take that back. It says that he arrived there after parking that CPS building based on the cameras. I'm trying to think what they called that camera.
The Harvest
farm something camera,
Hoosier
whatever.
Harvest, or I don't. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So when they talk about that, they talk about that he is arriving at 1:27, which is minutes after Abby and Libby got there. So that's curious because, we always heard, or at least I had heard in stuff before, that there was, somebody out there walking around earlier than that. Now, could have he come out there earlier and checked it out? Could have been.
That's
or it
odd.
could have been somebody else.
I'm interested to see what people that I don't know the timeline very good down to the minute. And now with the new information, there's a lot more with witnesses and various locations and things that they saw, that really did make it a quick thing, right? Like if he's showing up right around 1, he wasn't there all morning. He wasn't, it's just kind of like showing up to, that would have happened so quick.
Well, and he was right there behind. It was like, so doesn't that make more purpose? Remember when the other witnesses stated in there that they said hi to this guy. He doesn't acknowledge them, right? He's got his face covered up. He doesn't acknowledge them. He's walking. Although, did anybody else catch that somebody said about somebody being dressed all in black?
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody described somebody dressed all in black,
We've
we
heard
know
that rumor
was,
for a long time.
right, but they
There was someone.
included it in this description. They included that, but they sat there
It
and
could
said, okay, they've got the girl who sees him. She says hi. He doesn't acknowledge. He's keeping his head down. His hands are in his pockets. He's walking with purpose. It's like he's hurrying. He knows exactly where he's going.
That's what they said. Yes.
He's going. He knows exactly where he's headed. So why, if it's circumstantial that he just was not part of Anthony's shots and he just randomly killed 2 girls, then why did he pass those girls?
Right. He was specific, wasn't he? He had his targets in mind, and he was trying to get them.
Yep.
And he wasn't just leisurely at a park on a trail system in the middle of the day on a Monday, just leisurely looking at the stock market on his phone and checking out the fish from the high bridge. Are you kidding me?
Right.
He went there with purpose, and he was pissed.
Yeah. He was still moving, still going. And other people saw him, which the other person they talk about seeing him that took pictures on the bridge. I'm not going to say their names, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So these were, I don't want to say older ladies, just young ladies. They weren't teenagers. They were young ladies, and they were out there, and they were there to take some pictures. So they talked about what pictures was taken at one time, what picture was taken at a different time, and that they walked by this person.
Oh my God.
So he saw them, and they just passed. He did not acknowledge them when she said hi. She did not. So did not say a word to them whatsoever. Did not say a word. Very purposeful. Purposely parked his vehicle there. Did you have a phone? Maybe not. We're going to check it. Were those the boots he used? Is there blood inside the car that they took away? Was there any type of souvenirs they took? Did he
It
have
almost makes me wonder when they were searching Deer Creek, we have the helicopter footage that we've seen.
Yeah.
And the people that were almost like they were gridded out, shoulder side by side going across. And there's that part where something is discovered and the camera diverts away. You know? I'm wondering if that's not the clothing.
I'm thinking the first one they found was the shoe. Oh, no. I take that back. I think they formed that after they had found the shoe, because then they were trying to check if there was any more evidence in the water.
Yeah, because there was 2 of the searchers that went off towards that embankment, off to the side from the rest of the group, that just kind of stood there and were waiting, right? Almost like they were waiting for someone else to come over and verify that there was something there. I would think that the way it was, possibly some clothing got hung up there.
Well, and we learned another thing in this. We learned that there was clothing of both the girls found away. So, I mean, that breaks my heart again there too, to learn that about stuff with Abby, but
it's sickening, and I want him to pay for what he did. I don't even feel like I should say it, but I don't even feel like saying innocent until proven guilty. I just don't.
No, I mean not. I mean it's almost weird. It's almost like does he want to be caught? Is he a point he wants to get caught? He came forward and said he was there before. He literally
Mhm.
says he's on the bridge.
Mhm.
He says he's there at the exact times the girls are murdered, 1:30 to 3:30. Right? A little bit after
Mhm.
they got there and after they were murdered. He's parked at the CPS building. Now we know that's his car. Yeah, I'm walking around, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, this lady saw you muddy and bloody.
Yeah, he doesn't stand a chance. I mean, it is definitely proof evident, presumption great all over this. I mean, it's his presumption of innocence. I mean, yeah, it's a stretch.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that if they truly don't believe he actually murdered them based on the charge, meaning that they think he committed a different crime, but it ended up in a murder, like we've talked
Mhm.
about before, kind of like the bank robber, but you're the driver.
Excellent point. Yeah, it's felony murder.
So if now I have to imagine if he's got blood and stuff on him, then he's way more involved than just happen to be there,
Mhm.
right? You're more than involved if you're
Well,
giving up.
it's not like he's just a passive witness.
No, no,
Mm-mm.
not at all. But then that is the only way that I see that they would sit here and try to work with him in advance to say, give us everybody, tell us the whole story, give us everybody that's there or anybody else that's involved. We'll take the death penalty off the table and make it blah 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 blah. But no
Right.
matter what, his butt better be in prison for life, no matter what. I
No
don't
chance of
care.
parole.
I don't
Mm-mm.
care who he gives up. I don't
Yep.
care what it is he gives up. He needs to be in jail for the rest of his life.
Mhm.
Period.
Absolutely.
And I hate to break it to everybody, but we're all are probably not eligible to be jurors for sure. As you can tell, that we covered the motion to move the court date and who is disqualified, as which they describe as social media YouTubers. So, you know, it's going to be people they don't think has heard the case or whatnot. So we've got that motion. We got February 17th coming up about the bail. We talked about that and reviewed what the bail terms are for Indiana and why I think that they're doing that. We reviewed the probable cause affidavit. I guarantee you, after we all review it again, we'll probably be back on to share some more theories, especially if anything else happens soon. Maybe they go through his evidence, and find a connection somewhere else, and it
Mhm.
seals the deal with any other
I
potential
just
people
think
involved.
I am in awe of these people, the people that were there that day that are witnesses, that are, wow, I'm really in awe of the amount of secrets they have kept and the amount of courage that they had to tell everything they could from that day, you know.
Yeah. And Samantha,
And
I agree with you. I don't know why there's no kidnapping charges there yet, but that could be something. There will be, I guarantee you, when they go through everything and know all the details, more charges be there because no matter what, we have there on video, it proves that the bridge guy did a kidnapping by making them go down the hill and taking
at,
them with him at
at
gunpoint.
gunpoint, yeah, gunpoint. And we know now it was loaded, you know, it had bullets and there was intent to do harm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there'll be more.
I go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think I just like I said, I think there'll be more. There's just some information that's really missing there. I think that, like Carter said, the information that would be released is not going to hurt the case or hurt them trying to go after somebody else. I agree with that because it gives no clue in who else they're trying to go after unless they also completely omitted some things from the investigators that the investigators wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Um, we'll have to look at that, but yeah. Well, Amy, I appreciate you jumping on. We tried to hurry up and we had all the rest of the stuff ready to go, and we were trying to make sure we had the probable cause affidavit. If you have not seen that, you can rewind and go to the beginning of that as we read through it, and apologize for our pauses and emotional need to regroup ourselves as we read through that.
Mm-hmm.
And we encourage you to please hit that like button and subscribe. And if you do
Mm-hmm.
subscribe, we are doing a drawing for when we reach the 500 level of subscribers. You don't have to do anything except subscribe to be eligible for that drawing. And I want to thank our mods out there. I want to thank Kelt and Paige and Mama Bear for being here and helping as we went on quickly getting this information out to you guys. So, Amy, am I forgetting anything that we needed to
Um,
bring up?
no, I'm really grateful that Paige was able to get the PCA posted to us, and yeah, just the lovely ladies that are around this case, and I'll, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to something we always had hoped for, but didn't know if the day would come when. I mean, it's really, I can't. Sometimes I'm still in shock that there's actual stuff happening in the case.
Yeah. Well, and that's how our group all met, was through the Delphi case and being in people's chats on the Delphi case and
Yeah.
meeting each other through that. So,
Right.
but we do appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And watch, we're going to have some more information coming about. I'm going to cover a case about an Indiana serial killer that we are finally going to find out the identities of some more victims finally. And I'll be
Mm-hmm.
covering that soon.
That will
And
be interesting.
yeah, it's I can't believe it. It talked about it before, and now suddenly it's happening. So that's great news. But
Mm-hmm.
we appreciate you all here. And again, thank you, everybody. And let's make sure that justice is served daily.
Bye,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.